Some of the most important seasons of our lives are usually those that seem the most confusing, especially while we are going through them. These are seasons where we find our plans unraveling, life slows down, and we wonder, has something gone wrong? There are seasons where we find ourselves asking questions of, why does it seem like everyone is accelerating while I'm being slowed down? Why does surrender feel like shrinking? Why does obedience seem like loss? Welcome to the Formation Room, a space where we have honest conversations about spiritual formation, hidden seasons, and the quiet ways that God shapes our lives. My name is Martha Gift Ainembabazi, and I am very, very glad to have you here. Here, we are going to have conversations about those of us who really want to obey God faithfully and follow Him, and yet we feel like we are going through times of uncertainty. We feel like we're going through times of obscurity, and everything seems like it is not unraveling in the way that we have expected it to. We live in a culture that exalts visibility and celebrates acceleration. We also celebrate quick success, and everyone is celebrating influence. But we rarely talk about those hidden seasons. We rarely talk about the seasons where things seemed slow. We have had so many stories of I started from the bottom and now I'm here, but we rarely talk about what happens between the bottom and you being here. And in this platform, we would like to know, we would like to discuss and establish that what if that detour wasn't a distraction? What if that detour was very intentional by God as a classroom for us? Our conversations are going to be anchored in the scripture that is in the Gospel of John, chapter 15. In this passage, Christ is telling us that He is the vine and God the Father is the gardener. And we are the branches. The branch that does not bear fruit, God cuts it off. But the branch that does bear fruit, He prunes it so that it can be even more fruitful. So what does this mean to us? This means that pruning is not for the unfruitful. Pruning is for the fruitful. When God is doing His work of pruning, we need to remember that as a gardener, that means that He is attentive to us, He is close to us, and He is very intentional to us. Pruning does not mean separation. Pruning means preparation. So maybe that delay is not denial. That discomfort could be formation. And maybe obscurity does not mean abandonment. Maybe that external wilderness that you are facing is a representation of the internal pruning that God is doing in your life. And that pruning can expose very many things. It can expose pride, maybe your need for recognition, maybe your need for visibility or fear of invisibility. It could also expose the generic things that you have believed about yourself, the identity obscurity that you have carried for a while. And pruning is not usually comfortable. Pruning hurts, and that is because there is something that we are resisting. Maybe we are resisting to let go and surrender our ego. Maybe we are resisting and fighting against letting go our need for control. And maybe we want that visibility and we are resisting that quiet season that God is trying to take us through so that He can grow our roots deeper. In this room, we believe in our core that formation precedes influence. Before a platform, there is pruning. Before influence, there is surrender. Before leadership, there has to be transformation. And we will explore one deep question that is going to determine all our conversations and how they flow. What is God forming in you in this season? What if the wilderness is the evidence of His attention in your life? Personally, I would like to think that I'm an articulate planner, and usually I need to know what I'm going to do and what will happen there. I thrive in structure, and there are seasons that God has taken me through where I have had to surrender and relinquish control of my timelines. Those have been very hard seasons for me. There are seasons where I have had to really let go of the pride that I held in my need and my articulation of plans. And in hindsight, I realized that really God was doing his deepest work in me through those seasons of the wilderness, those seasons where I learned to surrender and really acknowledge his sovereignty in my life. He tells us in scripture that he alone knows the plans he has for us, plans to prosper us and not to bring disaster upon us. And it has been a while. It has been through the seasons that God has taken me through for me to really understand and be comfortable with the fact that he alone indeed knows the plans he has for me. And especially in this particular season that I am going through, we'll get to discuss more about it. He has taken me through a time of understanding what he means by telling me to trust in him with all my heart and lean not on my own understanding. In all my ways to submit to him, and he shall direct my path. And it is not an easy season. It is not an easy thing to really relinquish that surrender. But you know what? God definitely knows what he is doing during those seasons. Those were the seasons when I look back and I know this thing happened, this influence came up because I had been through that time and I was anchored enough in scripture and in the roots that God really planted deeply in him to know that I overcame, or I have been able to have that influence, or I'm growing that influence because I stand firmly in those roots. In the first season, we will be discussing the theme formed in the wilderness. Under here, we will be looking at surrendering ego, seasons of restoration and failure, long seasons of waiting, identity surrender. We'll be looking at hidden obedience. We'll be looking at integrity under pressure. And we will especially expound on identity because that is where everything comes from. Because if you do not know who you are or whose you are, then you will not be able to understand the kind of influence that you are being prepared for or that you already have within you. And we will not just be looking at the external wilderness and the external results. We will be asking questions of what had to go. What did you discover about yourself during this season? What did you have to surrender during that time? What did you learn about God's character and whose you are? This guy who tells you that you belong to him, what did you learn about how he does his things? What did you learn about his ways and about your ways, so that we are able to know what happened between the bottom and the here that we are always talking about when we say started from the bottom and now we are here. And maybe just to clarify, this is not a platform where we will just have hustle culture and sprinkle scriptures here and there. It is definitely not a motivational platform. And obviously, it is not a sermon space. This is a space where we will have conversations about pruning, conversations about transformation. We will move slowly, look at ego, talk about it slowly, and confront it directly. We will have conversations and we look at the work that God is doing in us, because we know that fruit that comes from pruning lasts, and leadership without formation collapses. So, if you're there and your season feels slow, it feels uncertain, and you feel forgotten, I'd like to encourage you that you are in fact not forgotten. And God is very intentional about you. God remembers you and he is very active in your life. He's very attentive to the details of your life. And during this season, you will see God is building and growing deep roots within you. Thank you so much for spending time in the formation room, because God cares more about who you are becoming than where you are going.